Janie Rezner. I was going to start with a piece that I had written after I had attended a memorial service at the Green Gulch Zen Center in August of 1995. And I'll just skip through that because we've obviously already been there. It was a full house in that large room where many have meditated for years. We were there remembering the horror of August 5th. Hearing story after story, I sat in that packed, silent crowd, sweat streaming down my back, as women musicians and speakers wove together the stories of suffering and facts of continuous testing of the bomb now. And today we face Star Wars revisited. There were moments when I wanted to be out of the room. It was too much to hear, too much to imagine. The low moans of the people after the bomb, their skin hanging from their bodies, the cancers and tortured deaths of native peoples where bombs have been tested, the beautiful lands that have been rendered poisonous, all life gone from them, the animals that have suffered and continue to suffer, their ability to reproduce healthy offspring gone. I listened to it all. I listened to our awareness of the suffering, to our awareness of the poisoning of our entire earth. As they said, we are all downwinders. To our awareness of the continuous rise in breast cancers and prostate cancers and the drop of sperm count of men all over the world. And then they related that China had tested a bomb in the atmosphere just a couple of years ago, in addition to testing underground. Now France has done that as well. There were petitions to sign for a world free of plutonium and actions planned, and I was mad. I was sick of hearing what men are doing again. Still, it is still going on. They are still doing the same things. As we perch on the brink of destruction of all life, they continue to act in senseless, utterly mad ways, destroying even more and planning now to destroy even more. Don't you think they should be stopped? Do you mind telling me what we are all doing, letting crazy mad men control and destroy this earth? I think we should lock them up in a padded psychiatric ward and throw away the key.
Right on!
And let them play Monopoly and War to their heart's content.
Take Condoleezza Rice with them, too.
May the wisdom circles begin. I heard a wonderful talk a few weeks back on Jim Tarbell and Linda Perry's show on KZYX. Their guest was revealing how the creators of our Constitution were white men of influence, of power, of money, who owned slaves, who considered women a notch above cattle, whose real motive was figuring out the best way to control the masses and keep and add to their own wealth. They didn't have any humanitarian ideals behind them. All men are created equal, give me a break. They are created equal, the rest of us, not the rest of us. They weren't concerned with issues of justice. And what happened in our government is the same story for the rest of the world. Governments and churches of the world run by men of power and wealth, without regard for human life. This is what the patriarchy looks like. We are awakening to what is real. What has been going on behind closed doors is being revealed to us, and it is part of a larger story. I was amazed to learn about the Bohemian Club last year. The powerful men of the world, presidents, heads of banks and corporations, war criminals, Henry Kissinger, meeting in secret right here, practically in our own community. I find that very frightening. These men, in their greed and perversity, shaping the next events of the world. I said to my son David, it's like something out of a bad movie. These evil men meeting in secret, deciding the fate of the world. Only it's not a movie. It's real. And from Howard Zinn, all those wars fought for democracy, our sons sacrificed for a noble cause, we discover, have been created by a handful of men deciding when and where and how they will create their next war, i.e. Panama, Guatemala, Colombia, Vietnam, the First World War. Assassinating heads of government, infiltrating and toppling any government that doesn't suit their needs, installing their own leaders, creating one enemy after another, big and small, so that war may go on, so that they may glean their financial rewards. We're discovering, rather than our being warring creatures, we have been caught, brainwashed and used as peons to support their cravings for power and greed by men for whom the sacredness of life has no value. We are slaves in this system. It is from our hard labor making money, day after day, week after week, all the years of our life, making money that goes back to a corrupt government, enabling them to do what they do. They could not do Star Wars without our help. And this is the Achilles heel that we need to pay attention to. Howard Zinn asked Madeleine Albright, a woman obviously without connection to her heart, about the sanctions against Iraq. He asked, "Whatever it is that you all want in Iraq, is it worth the death of thousands of innocent starving children?" And she replied, "We believe it is worth the sacrifice." And he mentioned, "She is not doing the sacrificing, the children are." We might ask, how do these powerful men who hold the lives of so many innocent children and women and men in their hands do what they do? These men, long separated from their own heart feelings of compassion and caring, separated from their natural paternal role as men, which is to support and nurture life. That's what a good father does. That's what a good man does. He helps his children. He supports them. He honors life. These men who operate out of underlying, unresolved fear and rage, hostility and greed, coupled with the unbelievable arrogance that this world and all of its vulnerable and delicate inhabitants, whether plant, animal, or human, is theirs for the taking. I listened the other morning on KZYX to Linda McClure's guest talking about the new Star Wars and proliferation of weapons plans by our administration. And he said, this is the most important issue of our time, in a time of catastrophic issues. My friends in Bolinas, Mary Beth Brannon and Jim Huddle, award-winning videographers in the fight to prevent cell towers and radiation poisoning from blanketing the world, have said the same for their struggle. This is the most important struggle in the world. I recently had the privilege of hearing John Robbins speak in Berkeley, promoting his new book, Food is Revolution. For those of you who don't know who he is, he was the heir apparent for the Baskin-Robbins ice cream dynasty. He was expected to carry it on, and he wanted no part of it, and he got out of it. He married and moved to the woods and grew his own food and became connected with what's really important in our world. And what a lovely, compassionate, and wise man he is. His goodness just shone through him. His premise is, the way the world's food is being produced by corporate power poisons the environment, displaces and creates suffering for native peoples, and causes great harm to our health, inducing disease and cancers, and is perhaps the most important issue in the world facing us. Well, this sounds like the right conversation to me. At last, we are beginning to get on the same page. As many of us have recognized for quite a few years, we are in a time of crisis, and we are beginning to awaken. And it doesn't look good, does it? It's like trying to put a finger in the dike to keep the ocean out. One rupture develops here, and then another, there, and then another, issue after issue. The other side of that is that we are seeing more and more people of the earth rise up in protest, daring to say no more. Sadly, human flesh is no match for billy clubs and bullets and tanks and laser guns. I would say it was time for a miracle, wouldn't you? For us to understand, not therapize, but understand what is going on with these men, we must explore and uncover where this violently abusive and alienated behavior comes from, for it has prevailed over the earth for many years. For those of you who know my work, you know my message in writing and music and art is heralding the return of the mother from the depths of soul into our awakening consciousness. Now, in the interest of time, I won't go through this. I see you're holding up your fingers. And I just have 2 pages. And it's crucial. A new treatise has just come out tracing the origins of child abuse, sex repression, warfare, and social violence in the deserts of the Old World, 4000 BC, the beginning of patriotism. Prior to the onset of dry conditions in the Sahara, evidence for gentle, unarmored, matrix behaviors which support and protect maternal infant and male-female bonds is widespread, but evidence for patriotism is generally non-existent. It is argued that matrism constitutes the earliest original and innate form of human behavior and social organism, while patriotism, perpetuated by trauma-inducing social institutions, first developed among Homo sapiens in the Sahara under the pressures of severe desertification, famine, and forced migrations. The mother-child bond was ruptured. The psychological insights of Wilhelm Reich, who was a contemporary of Freud and Jung, and went with understanding the body as being armored, provide an understanding of the mechanism by which patrist behavior, armored, violent, becomes established and continue long after the initial trauma has passed. You might ask, so what does this have to do with today? We need help now. This work suggests, as does my own revelations, that living in harmony with the earth and with each other is our natural state. The patriarchal men in power have lost contact with their feelings and their hearts. They have lost connection with reality. They are psychopathic, will stop at nothing to get what they want, clearly already evidenced. They are, in fact, insane. To consider dotting the heavens with weapons of destruction is insanity. Drenching the food we eat with poisons is also insane. I think we are beginning to get clear about who we are dealing with and what it might take to stop them. I'd like to change course here for one last minute and ask, just a paragraph, ask that you allow yourself to open up to what I'm about to say. That for just one moment, cast off your usual limitations of thinking to allow new possibilities. Moving into the 4th dimension, or perhaps it's the 5th. And indeed, if we are to enter a higher consciousness, we need to open up our mind's belief system to new possibilities. And in that, connect with who we really are. Each of us here, in this moment, are awakening divine beings, and we have come to save the earth. And there are millions of us all over the world. As we awaken, as we speak out in support of justice and the sacredness of life, we recognize each other by the goodness in our beings. And it is in this awakening that we begin to trust the process that we are a part of, and watch for the cues that guide us on our successful journey of reclaiming our home and ushering in peace on earth.